Breaking news. The tribal chief just dropped a bombshell that has the entire WWE universe in complete shock. Roman Reigns has announced he will not be competing in War Games, and the reason why is absolutely mind-blowing. This changes everything. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear will leave you speechless. What's going on? Wrestling-verse family. Welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time here, you picked the perfect day to join us because we are covering one of the biggest announcements in WWE history. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell right now because you do not want to miss a single update on this developing story. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the head of the table, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, a man who has dominated WWE for years, a man who seemingly fears nothing and no one. And he just announced that he will not be participating in one of WWE's most brutal and most anticipated events, War Games. The question on everyone's mind is simple but massive. Why? What could possibly make the tribal chief step away from such a monumental match? The answer is going to blow your mind, and we're going to break down every single detail, every implication, and what this means for the future of WWE. Drop a comment right now and tell me, are you shocked by Roman's decision, or did you see this coming? Let's hear from the Wrestling-verse community. Before we dive into Roman's announcement and the reason behind it, let's talk about what War Games actually means and why Roman's absence is such a massive deal. War Games is not just another match. This is arguably the most brutal, most dangerous, and most chaotic match concept in all of professional wrestling. We're talking about two rings side by side, enclosed in a steel cage, with multiple competitors battling in an environment where literally anything can happen. This is controlled chaos at its absolute finest. War Games has a legendary history. Some of the greatest wrestlers of all time have competed in this match. Careers have been made in War Games. Legendary moments have been created. And the physical toll it takes on everyone involved is absolutely massive. When you step into War Games, you're not just competing in a match, you're going to war. For WWE, War Games has become one of the most anticipated events of the year. Fans absolutely love it because of the unpredictability, the violence, the drama, and the storytelling opportunities it provides. When WWE announces the teams for War Games, it's immediately one of the most talked about storylines in the company. Now imagine this. You're building up to War Games, and everyone expects the tribal chief, the most dominant champion in WWE history, to be a central part of the event. Roman Reigns in War Games would be absolutely must-see television. His presence alone would elevate the entire event. And then he drops the bombshell that he's not participating. Let's get into the announcement itself and how it sent shockwaves through the WWE universe. Roman Reigns, in his typical calculated and commanding fashion, addressed the WWE universe with news that nobody saw coming. The tribal chief doesn't make decisions lightly. Every move he makes is strategic, every word he speaks carries weight, and every action serves a purpose. So when Roman announces something this significant, you know there's a major reason behind it. The announcement itself was delivered with the confidence and authority that only Roman Reigns can bring. He wasn't apologetic. He wasn't uncertain. He was clear, direct, and absolute in his decision. The tribal chief has made his choice, and in typical Roman fashion, he doesn't feel the need to justify it to anyone, except that the reason behind it is so compelling that it actually makes perfect sense once you understand it. The WWE Universe's reaction was immediate and massive. Social media exploded with responses ranging from shock to disbelief to anger to understanding. Fans who had been anticipating seeing Roman in War Games were devastated. Others were intrigued by what this means for the storylines going forward. And everyone was buzzing about the implications of the tribal chief's decision. Now let's get to what everyone wants to know. Why is Roman Reigns not competing in War Games? The reason comes down to one fundamental principle that has defined Roman's entire reign as the tribal chief. He doesn't operate by WWE's rules, he operates by his rules. Roman Reigns has built an empire within WWE by establishing himself as above the standard competition, above the typical expectations, and above the need to prove himself in matches that he views as beneath his status. Here's Roman's perspective, and honestly, when you think about it from his point of view, it makes complete sense. Why should the tribal chief, the most dominant champion in WWE history, risk everything in a chaotic War Games environment. Roman has systematically defeated every single challenger placed in front of him. He's beaten legends, Hall of Famers, rising stars, and established main eventers. He's held championship gold with an iron grip for an unprecedented amount of time. He's proven time and time again that he's the absolute best in WWE. So why should he subject himself to a match where victory isn't solely in his control? War Games is unpredictable by design. There are multiple competitors, 2 rings, and countless variables that even someone as skilled as Roman Reigns can't completely control. In a standard one-on-one match, Roman can dictate the pace, control the narrative, and use his superior skills to guarantee victory. But in War Games, anything can happen, and the tribal chief doesn't leave things to chance. There's also a strategic brilliance to Roman's decision that can't be overlooked. By announcing he won't compete in War Games, Roman is making several powerful statements simultaneously. First, he's reinforcing his position as the head of the table. Roman doesn't need War Games to prove anything. His accomplishments speak for themselves. By stepping away from this match, he's essentially saying that War Games is for people who still have something to prove, and he's already proven everything. Second, he's protecting his legacy and his championship. Every time Roman competes, he's risking the titles that define his reign. In a controlled environment against a single opponent, Roman is virtually unbeatable. But War Games introduces elements of chaos that could lead to an unexpected loss. By not participating, Roman ensures his reign continues uninterrupted. Third, and this is crucial, Roman is demonstrating that he operates on a different level than everyone else in WWE. While other superstars scramble for the opportunity to compete in War Games, proving themselves in this brutal environment, Roman stands above it all. He doesn't need the validation that comes from War Games. He's already validated. This creates an interesting dynamic where Roman's absence from War Games actually makes him seem even more powerful. He's not avoiding the match out of fear, he's dismissing it as unnecessary. That's the move of someone who is truly confident in their position at the top of WWE. Now let's talk about the immediate implications of Roman's decision for the War Games match itself. With the tribal chief not participating, the entire landscape of the match changes dramatically. Other competitors who might have been on Roman's team now have to adjust their strategies. The team that might have been facing Roman's squad suddenly has a different challenge in front of them. This also opens up massive opportunities for other WWE superstars. War Games is a star-making event. Without Roman Reigns dominating the spotlight, other performers have the chance to step up, deliver incredible performances, and create their own legendary moments. Some wrestler is going to be the star of War Games, and it won't be Roman, which means someone else gets that opportunity. From WWE's creative perspective, this creates fascinating storytelling possibilities. How do the other members of Roman's bloodline react to his decision? Do they feel abandoned? Do they understand and support his reasoning? Do they question whether the tribal chief truly has their backs, or is he only concerned with protecting his own status? These questions add layers of complexity to the existing storylines and create potential conflicts that could play out over weeks or even months. Maybe this is the beginning of cracks forming in the bloodline. Maybe this is Roman testing the loyalty of his family members by seeing if they can handle War Games without him. The possibilities are endless and absolutely fascinating. Let's also consider what Roman's decision means for his challengers and rivals in WWE. On one hand, competitors who were hoping to face Roman in War Games are disappointed. This was their chance to get their hands on the tribal chief in a chaotic environment where they might have advantages they wouldn't have in a standard match. Roman's absence takes away that opportunity. On the other hand, this decision might make Roman's rivals even more determined to find ways to challenge him. If Roman won't step into War Games, then they need to find other ways to force his hand, to create situations where the tribal chief has no choice but to defend his championships. This could lead to even more creative and compelling storylines. There's also the possibility that Roman's decision is viewed by some as a sign of weakness, even though Roman himself would never see it that way. Competitors who pride themselves on being warriors, on never backing down from any challenge, might use Roman's absence from War Games as motivation. They might publicly question his courage, his commitment, or his willingness to truly compete at the highest level. These challenges to Roman's decision could create incredible promos and confrontations. Imagine a top babyface calling out Roman, accusing him of being afraid, demanding that he prove himself in War Games. The verbal exchanges alone would be absolutely must-see television. Now let's talk about the business and promotional side of Roman's announcement, because this decision has implications beyond just the storylines. From WWE's perspective, Roman Reigns is their biggest star and their most valuable asset. Having him compete in War Games would obviously boost interest and viewership for that event. But WWE also has to think long-term about protecting their top champion and managing his schedule strategically. If Roman's reasoning for not competing is related to protecting his championship reign and maintaining his dominant position, WWE might actually be fully supportive of this decision. They've invested years into building Roman as this unstoppable force, and they're not going to want to risk that in a match with too many unpredictable elements. This decision also creates intrigue and discussion, which is exactly what WWE wants. Right now, everyone in the wrestling world is talking about Roman's announcement. That conversation keeps WWE in the headlines, keeps fans engaged, and builds anticipation for whatever Roman does next. There's also the possibility that Roman's absence from War Games is setting up something even bigger down the line. Maybe while War Games is happening, Roman is involved in a different segment or confrontation that advances his storylines in unexpected ways. Maybe his decision not to compete actually leads to an even more significant moment that night. WWE has an incredibly talented roster, and War Games without Roman gives other superstars the opportunity to steal the show and create career-defining moments. Fans might discover new favorites or see established stars in a different light. Additionally, Roman's decision adds realism to the WWE universe. In a real combat sports scenario, top champions are selective about which challenges they accept. They protect their status and choose their battles strategically. Roman's approach mirrors this real-world logic, which makes the storylines feel more grounded and believable. Alright, wrestling vs. family, there you have it. The complete breakdown of Roman Reigns' shocking announcement that he will not be competing in War Games, and all the reasons, implications, and possibilities surrounding this massive decision. The tribal chief has made his choice, and whether you agree with it or not, you have to admit it's created one of the most talked about stories in WWE right now. This is exactly why Roman Reigns is the most compelling character in professional wrestling. Every move he makes creates waves throughout the entire industry. Now I need to hear from you. Get down in those comments and share your thoughts. Do you agree with Roman's decision to skip War Games? Is this a smart strategic move or a mistake on his part? Do you think he'll actually stick to his decision or end up competing anyway? Who should step up in Roman's absence to become the star of War Games? What do you think Roman will be doing instead during the event? Let's get a massive discussion going. I love reading your comments and hearing all your different perspectives on these major WWE storylines. If this breakdown helped you understand the situation better, absolutely smash that like button. Every like helps the algorithm share this video with more wrestling fans, and it shows me that you want more content like this. And if you're not already subscribed to Wrestling vs. CC, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on all notifications. We're covering every major WWE storyline, every shocking moment, and every development you need to know about. You don't want to miss a single upload. We've got incredible videos coming up covering War Games itself, Roman's ongoing storylines, championship updates, and so much more. This is the channel for real wrestling analysis and breakdowns. Before you go, check out this video right here where we break down the Bloodline's complete history and how we got to this point. If you love this content, you're absolutely going to love that deep dive. Until next time, Wrestling vs. Family, keep acknowledging your tribal chief, keep watching for those unexpected twists, and remember, in WWE, the biggest stories often come from the decisions wrestlers don't make, not just the ones they do. This is Wrestling vs. CC, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.